This is extremely important for a federation that unites 89 regions in all their diversity and uniqueness. Today, our strategic plans and development programs cover the entire country. From Kaliningrad to the Kuril Islands, from the Arctic latitudes to Crimea, Donbas and the Caucasus. Thank you for your work, for your unwavering attention to our heroes, participants in combat operations and their families, to issues of the demographic agenda that is so crucial for us, and to the problems of legal and socio-economic integration of our historical regions. Such unity and commitment to national interests are extremely important for the Parliament, for both its chambers and for the country as a whole. Thank you. And once again, I congratulate you on the upcoming New Year. Dear Valentina Ivanovna, dear senators of the Russian Federation, colleagues, friends, first of all, I congratulate you on the upcoming New Year holidays. The Russian Parliament, both of its chambers, is concluding the autumn session with good results. There really was a lot of work. A whole series of important legislative decisions have been made in the interest of the country and our citizens, strengthening national security, developing the economy and the social sphere. And for the senators, the outgoing year 2025 was especially significant also because, as Valentina Ivanovna just mentioned, it marked the 25th anniversary of the first major reform of the Federation Council, one of the largest, in the field of state building at the turn of the 20th and 21st centuries. Let me remind you what exactly that reform entailed. The 1993 Constitution, of course you all know this, but let's remind ourselves and the citizens, the 1993 Constitution stipulated that the deputies of the first convocation of the Federation Council were to be elected for only 2 years. That was the transitional temporary procedure. After that, the Federation Council included, personally and by position, the heads of the regions and the legislative assemblies. And I want to note that they carried out their parliamentary duties with dignity, professionalism, and dedication. Many of them did a great deal for the country, for preserving our national unity during that difficult and frankly transitional period in every sense of the word. Period. However, the workload they faced was also considerable, not to mention the so-called dual office holding. Holding both the position of regional leader and participating in the adoption of federal laws created a duality of status. After all, executive power and legislative power are quite different. They are, after all, separate branches. And this blurred the lines of responsibility for implementing decisions. We understand, right, when a person passes a law and then has to enforce it themselves, there are certain issues that arise. But it seems to me that we managed to handle it, we solved it, because we felt at the time that it was affecting the entire system of government. That's why in 2000 I proposed a fundamental change in the procedure for forming the Federation Council, so that each region would have 2 parliamentarians working in the upper chamber, on a permanent, professional basis. And they could focus specifically on lawmaking, on strengthening the close connection and unified logic between the federal and regional local development agendas, so that when making key nationwide decisions, the position of the subjects of the Russian Federation would be clearly voiced and taken into account. Back then, a quarter of a century ago, the modern image of the Federation Council was essentially defined. The schedule of its committees and commissions became more intensive. The amount of substantive work on draft laws increased. As a result, as I have already said, all regions gained greater influence at the federal level, at least in the legislative process. New opportunities emerged to solve local problems and to improve people's quality of life. The unlocking of their economic potential and competitive advantages, which together form the basis, balanced, sustainable development of the entire country. The mechanism for forming the Federation Council continued to be refined and adjusted over time. For example, in 2012, elements of electivity were introduced. Candidates for the position of governor had to publicly announce and present to the people, even at the campaign stage, their list of 3 candidates for senatorial seats. And from the Legislative Assembly, only an elected representative could become such a member. Through democratic procedures to elect the deputy of the regional parliament. Legitimacy. Thus, representation in the upper chamber was also increased. In addition, we established official requirements for members of the Federation Council, including the necessity of a personal direct connection to a specific region. The personnel requirements were updated and expanded after substantial systemic amendments were made to the Constitution in 2020. The entire parliamentary body took an active part in their development. The very term senator, which was previously unofficial, was enshrined in law at that time. New powers also appeared for your colleagues in the State Duma. And the Federation Council itself, in terms of parliamentary oversight, gained influence over personnel policy in the judicial system, the prosecutor's office, and the holding of consultations when appointing government members responsible for foreign policy, justice, and the security bloc. I know that the Federation Council approaches these matters professionally, thoroughly, and with the utmost responsibility. Frankly, no one would expect anything different, unexpectedly. I am confident in your professionalism and truly statesmanlike approach, and I count on the continuation of our close cooperation just as before. Let me repeat, the title of the position and the ways the Federation Council has been formed have changed over the years. And not just once, as I have just mentioned, but its legal and political nature, its purpose, you could say, its mission remains unchanged. This is, above all, a key role in the legislative process. It is participation in making important state decisions and strengthening the country's international standing through parliamentary diplomacy. And of course, the Federation Council in practice ensures the connection between the levels of unified public authority. This is extremely important for a federation that unites 89 regions in all their diversity and uniqueness. And by emphasizing unity, we find our true wealth. Valentina Ivanovna also mentioned this just now. This is where the creative strength of multinational Russia lies. Today, our strategic plans and development programs cover the entire country, from Kaliningrad to the Kuril Islands, from the Arctic latitudes to Crimea, Donbas, and the Caucasus. Yes, we understand that the success of such large-scale work directly depends on the steps taken by the federal executive and legislative authorities. But it is implemented and brought to life precisely at the local level in specific regions, cities, and towns. I am now addressing both you and the government. It is necessary to involve the regions more actively and closely, as they say, in the development of new solutions for the national agenda. And of course, proper oversight must be established over their implementation. The same applies to representatives of public and non-profit organizations, veterans and youth groups, business circles and local expert platforms, citizens' associations. They should have more opportunities and effective mechanisms to contribute to achieving the national development goals. By expanding the space for such initiative, we will strengthen the institution of federalism. These are vital for the country's future. I know that the Federation Council regularly holds Russian regional days and organizes off-site events. I will ask to further increase the involvement of the regions in this joint work. Every federal subject has its own growth points and strengths. Of course, these need to be recognized and supported. And this is our, and in this case, your sacred duty. Each of you senators of Russia is a politician and a legislator. But at the same time, you are all an integral part of your region's management teams, and you must not only know them thoroughly, but always defend their interests, the requests and instructions of the people. They should never fall out of the country's overall agenda or out of sight of ministries, agencies, and executive authorities. After all, your authority and the trust of the people, a senator's knowledge of their region, is both a great honor and a great responsibility. And of course, this must be reaffirmed day after day, with every word, every action, and with real tangible results in serving the country and the people. And in this regard, I would especially like to note that today, as was just mentioned among you, there are 9 heroes of Russia in your ranks. Participants in the special military operation and the Federation Council itself has become a true school for personnel development. Your colleagues, having gone through it, were later appointed to responsible positions in federal government bodies, headed federal subjects and legislative assemblies. I see in this hall people who were previously heads of regions who now work here, and some from the upper chamber move on either to the government or to head other bodies. This is a very good practice, a true school for developing personnel. In total, over these 25 years, almost 800 people have gained experience working in the Chamber of Regions. The composition of the Federation Council, like that of other government bodies, will, of course, continue to be updated in accordance with the law, gradually and regularly, taking into account the results of unified voting days. At the same time, I am confident that the high quality and continuity of the legislative process and the professional traditions of the Federation Council will, without a doubt, be maintained. Dear colleagues, I would like to thank you for your work, for your unwavering attention to our heroes, participants in combat operations and their families, to issues of the demographic agenda that is so crucial for us, and to the problems of legal and socio-economic integration of our historical regions. And of course, for your participation in working on the federal budget, which reflects all of these as well as all our other main priorities. Overall, thank you for supporting our course towards strengthening and developing Russia. Such unity and commitment to national interests are extremely important for the Parliament, for both its chambers and for the country as a whole. And in times of historic trials and global change, they are simply priceless. Thank you for this. Thank you. And once again, I congratulate you on the upcoming New Year. Thank you very much.